I guess at some point in our life, most of us will face a question about our religious beliefs. You may be filling out a survey or completing a questionnaire, and suddenly you're faced with a whole list of different religions from which you're expected to make a choice. It's at this point that 80% of people living in the United Kingdom who say they believe in God would have to ask themselves the question, can I really call myself a Christian? With 3/4 of the population in England and Wales choosing to tick the box marked Christian, it's estimated we have around 41 million people who consider themselves as followers of Jesus Christ. That's a whole load of Christians. Yet somehow the numbers just don't seem to add up. With around 4 million people attending church on any given Sunday, one has to ask the question, where are the missing millions? Especially when the Bible describes a Christian as someone who regularly gets together with other Christians to worship God and discuss the life and teachings of Jesus Christ. But perhaps there's more than one type of Christian. I recently read an article about vegetarians and discovered a whole new subculture for which a new word has had to be created. It seems that amongst those who call themselves vegetarians, there are some who refuse to eat meat most of the time. But when pushed, these same people have to admit to enjoying the occasional bacon sandwich. It's a kind of vegetarianism with benefits. So in order to accommodate these lapsed veggies, a new word has been created. They're called flexitarians. People who call themselves vegetarians but aren't totally committed to the whole thing. They like the theory, but want the freedom to pick and mix the way they practice their beliefs. Perhaps this is a clue to the missing millions. Maybe Christianity has its own subculture of flexitarians, people who work on a kind of spiritual flexi time, preferring to clock in and out of their Christian beliefs in order to suit their own particular lifestyle. If that's true, then maybe Christianity has a mixture of what might be called fans and followers. Confused? You should be. Faced with this type of two-tier Christianity, most of the Western world appears to be uncertain as to what a real Christian is. Ask 100 people what comes to mind when they hear the term Christian, and it won't be long before you hear words like hypocritical, judgemental, homophobic, money grabbers, people who are more interested in getting you inside a church building than getting to know who you really are. For although a load of people call themselves Christian, we'd have to admit that not all of them behave in a very Christ-like manner, and that's where much of the confusion comes from. You see, for some people, Christianity is simply a matter of birth. I was born in a so-called Christian country, therefore I'm Christian. So when asked the question about their religious beliefs, they automatically tick the box that says Christian. Yet challenging this popular misconception, someone once said that you can be born in a garage, but it doesn't make you a car. For others, Christianity is all about behaviour. Faced with a boatload of rules and rituals, Christianity becomes a treadmill of do's and don'ts that seems to make it more of a religion than a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Yet the Bible appears to have a different take on Christianity and lists a number of things involved in this decision to become a Christ follower. Firstly, there's the call. Just like the biblical Jesus called his disciples to leave what they were doing and follow him, becoming a Christian seems to be all about responding to a divine call. Whether that response is sparked by hearing someone's story of how God has transformed their life, or by listening to someone explain how much God loves us no matter what, it appears that a Christian is someone who has responded to a divine call to leave their old way of life and follow the life and teachings of Jesus. But for me, it's not only about a call, it's also about a choice. A personal choice based on a conviction. And those who make this choice, they not only decide to leave their old way of life behind, they publicly declare that today I'm choosing to make Jesus Christ the boss of my life. But if becoming a Christian is a choice, that means we can either accept or reject the invitation to follow the life and teachings of Jesus Christ. Then again, those who choose to respond to the call speak of experiencing a dynamic change to the way they believe and how they behave. For although it's reckoned we're all born with an ability to mess up no matter what, for those who decide to become a Christ follower, everything changes. A divine exchange takes place, whereby the past is dealt with and God gives them the ability to think and do what's right. Wow, this all sounds great. You sense the call, you make the choice, and by God's grace your whole life is transformed. But with the change comes a challenge for which everyone who calls themselves a Christian will need God's daily help. For as someone has said, living the Christian life is not hard, it's impossible. And naturally speaking, that's true. But with God's help, all things are possible. It's a bit like choosing to emigrate to a different country. The challenge of a different time zone, language and way of doing things is all too evident. And although naturally speaking you might keep your clocks on the old time zone and preserve the old way of life, sooner or later, if you want to enjoy the benefits of living in a new country, things are going to have to change. So for those deciding to become a Christ follower, this new way of life is going to require a commitment. For while some people who call themselves Christians might be better thought of as fans, people who prefer to pick and mix their beliefs to suit their own lifestyle, Christ followers are totally committed to the teachings of Jesus Christ, no matter how challenging. So I guess the question is, have I sensed the call to follow the life and teachings of Jesus Christ? Have I made the choice to ask God to forgive my past and make Jesus Christ the boss of my life? Have I experienced a radical change to the way I think and behave? Is this new way of life so challenging that I find myself daily asking for God's help? And am I totally committed to live the kind of life God intended no matter what? If yes, then based on what the Bible describes as a Christ follower, you can, by God's grace, call yourself a Christian.